Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Astotra Satta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Astotra Satta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shadgoshai Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parivagacharya Astotar Shat Shri Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavind Ki Jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 14, and today's text is text number 16. 16. Please kindly repeat after me. Nirapeksham muni shantam Nirvairam samadarshanam Anuvrajamyaham nityam Puye yeti angri renubhi Nirpeksham munim shantam Nirvairam samadarshanam Anuvrajamyaham nityam Puye yeti angri renubhi. Please chant. Nirpeksham munim shantam Nirvairam samadarshanam Anuvrajamyaham nityam Puye yeti angri renuvi. Thank you. Nirpeksham munim shantam Nirvairam samadarshanam Anuvrajamyaham nityam Puye yeti renuvi. Nirpeksham munim shantam Nirvairam samadarshanam Anubrajamyaham nityam Puye yeti angri renubhi. Okay. Now we will do word per word meaning together. Nirpeksham, without personal desire. Munim, always thinking of assisting me in my pastimes. Shantam, peaceful. Nirvairam, not inimical to anyone. Samadarshanam, equal consciousness everywhere. Anubrajami, follow. Aham, I. Nityam, always. Puyeya, I may be purified. I will purify the universe within me. Iti, thus. Angri, of the lotus feet. Renubhi, by the dust. Now the translation and the purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Someone can read the translation if they like.
With the dust of my devotees, lotus feet, I desire to...
1 second.
With the dust of my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material worlds which are situated in me. Thus, I always follow the footstep of my pure devotees, who are free from all personal desire, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, peaceful, without any feeling of enmity, and of equal disposition everywhere.
Thank you. And then someone can read the purport. How long is the purport? Yeah. One person can read the whole purport. Thank you.
Just as the devotees always follow the footsteps of Lord Krishna, similarly, Lord Krishna, being a devotee of his devotees, follows the footsteps of his devotees. A pure servitor of the Lord is always meditating on the pastimes of the Lord and considering how to assist the Lord in his mission. All the material universes are situated in Sri Krishna's body, as demonstrated to Arjuna, Mother Yashoda, and others. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore there is no question of impurity in the Lord. Still, the Lord desires to purify the universes situated within him by taking the dust of the lotus feet of his pure devotees. Without the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, it is not possible to engage in pure devotional service, without which one cannot directly experience transcendental bliss. Lord Krishna thought, I have established this strict rule that one can enjoy my transcendental bliss only
through devotional service obtained from the dust of the lotus feet of my devotees. Since I also desire to experience my own bliss, I will observe the standard procedure and accept the dust of my devotees' feet. Srila Madhvacharya points out that Lord Krishna follows the footsteps of his devotees in order to purify them. As the Lord walks along behind his pure devotees, the wind blows the dust of the Lord's feet in front of his devotees, who then become purified by contact with such transcendental dust. One should not foolishly look for material logic in these transcendental pastimes of the Lord. It is simply a question of love between the Lord and his devotees.
Thank you very much. Om Jnanam Timiram Dhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Giriraj Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desha Tarine. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you for being here. And I seek your blessings so I may repeat what I have learned from Srila Prabhupada's books and all of you. So here we see that this is somewhat continuation of yesterday's verse number 15. There, Lord Krishna is glorifying Uddhava in particular, and here he is glorifying the devotees who are like Uddhava, I thought. And as I read this verse, text number 16, it came to me that, Lord is so personal. That's what I felt, that he is not impersonal God. He is very personal, how he is expressing his inner feelings for his devotees. He is the Lord of the universe, right? He created this universe. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when, sometimes we see in the material world, when somebody has very high post, they hesitate to reveal their inner feelings, thinking that, that might endanger their position, or people will think he's weak, she's weak. So they think it's showing weakness if we, say what's in our heart, be humble and be, expressive. So, but here, Lord Krishna so openly saying that, how he loves his devotees who are, he gives the qualities and, he follows them, so anyway, that's what the first thing I, realized. And then here, Lord is saying that he wants to purify the material worlds which reside within him with the dust of the lotus feet of his pure devotees. Actually just says devotees, not even pure devotees, his devotees. So that's also so nice. And what kind of devotees? He also gives the qualities that, what are the qualities in those devotees whose dust from their lotus feet he wants to purify the entire world. So the first one being, it said, nirpeksham. And nirpeksham is translated here without personal desire. So his devotees have no personal desire. The only desire they have is to please the Lord. That's all they want. It is also in the definition of pure devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami also, points out this particular point where it says, Anya bhilashita shunyam jnana karma dinavritam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. So he's saying that one should render, unconditional, unalloyed devotional service unto the Supreme Lord without any desire for profit or gain from the fruitive activities or from the philosophical speculation. So such devotional service here Lord is also talking about, that devotees who imbibe that mood of rendering service without any desire but to please him. And then the other quality, next one says Munim, always thinking of assisting me in my pastimes. So Muni also means a sage, a saint. Usually is referred to Muni, like we know Narada Muni, right? So now that's what exactly Narada Muni always did. He always is assisting the Lord in his pastimes. Even in Krishna Leela, we see that once when Kansa became little relaxed, and he thought, well, it's the 8th child who's going to harm him, so let's not, kill the other children of Devaki and Vasudeva. So as soon as that happened, Narad Muni comes to his palace and kind of, tries to agitate him that, no, this or that by so many logics. He convinces Kansa to go on with being very aggressive. He got Kansa upset again. So it's all that so that Lord's pastime can be expedited. He can advent in this material world. So like that. So we are also actually, I read somewhere, or we know that we are also in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his Sankirtan movement, and we can also assist him in his pastimes by, participating in Sankirtan movement, bringing more souls to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet, giving this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chanting the holy names to whoever we meet. So that's also, we can also be liked by the Lord because he's clearly saying here, right? And the next one, the next quality he's referring is Shantam, peaceful. Naturally, a devotee is very peaceful because we see usually a person who is in bodily consciousness, who is always thinking of himself, how to please him or things around him. So when things, and then he's planning. So once when things don't go the way he plans, then we become frustrated, very agitated, disturbed. But since the only goal of a devotee is to he knows the aim of life, the goal of life, to please the Lord. And he knows that in Bhagavad Gita, it says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwar. That verse which says that, Krishna is the center of everybody's attention. He's the one we should be serving. So if, devotees think like that, but if all of us think like that, our goal is to please the Lord, serve the Lord with love and affection. So there is no question of not being peaceful, right? The peace comes naturally. And then it says nirvairam, not inimical to anyone. So we know devotees are like that too. What to speak of being an enemy of anybody, they are the best friends because they are always trying to help people to give them the ultimate happiness, to get them closer to the Lord, which gives one the ultimate happiness. So they are, even if other people are inimical, because we cannot help other people to be inimical to us, but in turn we should always be their well-wisher. The good example is Yudhishthir Maharaj. He is called actually Ajata Shatru, the person who has no enemies. And even Duryodhan, who was his born enemy, even to him he was very affectionate. Instead of Duryodhan, he would call him Suyodhan. So, he had no enemy. So that is the quality of Lord's devotees. And Lord Krishna is saying here that he likes them very much. And then the next, I think that's it, right? Some other. So these 5 qualities Lord Krishna likes in a person, and then he is ready to follow him. So actually he is the Lord of the universe. He doesn't need to follow anybody, right? In fact, we all follow the Lord. But here he is being so loving, the Supreme Father, that he's saying that he is ready to follow such a person who imbibes all these qualities, and he's ready to purify the material world, by the dust of their lotus feet. So how does one become such a devotee, right? So how can we become like that? Lord follows our, good example in our modern days is Srila Prabhupada, right? Lord followed him all the way, everywhere. And that is the reason he was able to do things he did, right? Otherwise, at age 70, how can a person do what he did? Open more than 108 temples. He traveled around the world more than 7 times. He transformed so many lives. He initiated more than 5,000 disciples. So many things. His Bhagavad Gita is transforming the lives of everybody who reads them. His books, actually, all of his books are like that. There were so many versions of Bhagavad Gita in the world, and it still are, but they don't transform the lives. They might give you some information, and sometimes even mislead people. But Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is the only one which changed people's life, which is changing people's life, his books. So, only reason he was able to do is Lord was following him. He was with him. We are so fortunate to be in that parampara where we see, by experience that, what happens when we become a devotee like this, then Lord is following. And then now we can talk about this dust of the lotus feet of the devotees. Devotees are hankering after the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. We read throughout Bhagavatam, we hear that so many devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we read how they are, in their prayers everywhere, they are hankering for that position to be at the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. For example, Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Devi, that's all she wants, to be on the lotus feet of the Lord, and she has obtained that position. Lakshmi Devi, whose eternal position is to be on the chest of the Lord, but even she prays to be at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, Vasudeva. And even though there she will be there, nobody is sharing that spot, but on the lotus feet, at Lord's lotus feet, she has to share it with Tulsi Devi and so many other devotees who are there. So that is the desire of a devotee. And actually in Vrindavan, we see that mood all the time. His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj, he glorifies the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord, which is Vrindavan dust, Braj Raja, and that every Kartik when he comes, he rolls, he does parikrama, rolling on the dust of Vrindavan. And when he does every year he does japa retreats, and there also he brings a big bag of Braj Raja, and then in between he will throw the Braj Raja on everybody, and which is so fun, but not only fun, it works. It works. And there are so many other examples, actually, where, and actually a good example also is Akrura. Akrura, when he was coming, Kansa ordered him, even though he was a relative of Lord Krishna, but out of duty, as you know, because Kansa was the king, so he took one position in his, royal, he had some kind of position, which I don't remember, Akrura. But even though he was working for Kansa, but all the time he was meditating on how one day he desires to meet the Lord. And, he might be doing so many things, but his mind was always focused on the lotus feet of the Lord. And then that time came, Kansa asked Akrura to go and get Sri Balaram and Lord Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura to participate in a wrestling match. So he had planned, and that way he will be able to kill them. So when Akrura, Kansa lends him a very nice chariot. So Akrura is, driving the chariot going from Mathura to Vrindavan. But all through the way, he's meditating on that how he will meet the Lord, what he will do, what he will say, what he's also assuming what Lord will tell him and how he will react, all that. So he's meditating. So as soon as he comes very close to Vrindavan and he sees on the dust of the Vrindavan the marks of Lord's lotus feet, he just immediately jumps down from the chariot and he rolls on the ground, crying that, how fortunate he is. Dust of the lotus feet also means that glorifying the Lord, It's literally also works, but also we have to be meditating on the pastimes of the Lord, glories of the Lord, and then it really works. So Akrura, that way, is a very good example of that. And then also, like we were saying, how one becomes a devotee, which Lord Krishna is describing in this text. How does that happen? Prahlad Maharaj, that how does one get bhakti? How does one become a devotee? Because all these qualities are found in the devotees only, right? We cannot find these qualities in a person who is not a devotee. Because it says in one of the verses, Yasyasti Bhagavati, it's a very nice verse. We often recite it here. It says, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunesh tatra samasate sura harava abhaktasya kuto mahat guna manorathe nasti dhavato bahi. It says, all the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities, even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor for maintaining his family and relatives. He must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such person? So and then another verse, while I'm at it, it is also a very sweet verse and often quoted. It says, Titikshava karunika suhrida sarvadehinam ajata satrava shantam sadhava sadhu bhushanam. The symptoms of a sadhu, this is Kapil Dev telling his mother Devahuti that one should take shelter of a sadhu. And what kind of sadhu? Then here the symptoms are said. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. So exactly like here Lord Krishna is telling Uddhava, there Kapil Dev is telling his mother Devahuti. So very similar qualities he is describing. So how does one become bhakta? Because it is said by our Prahlad Maharaj that people who are engrossed in materialistic way of life, who are busy chewing the chewed, in such people, devotional service does not take place. The attachment for Krishna does not take place either by their own efforts or instructions of others, or the combination of both. So pretty much nothing will work on them, or which are majority of people in material world, right? That we are always engrossed in a materialistic way of life. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling his father Hiranyakashipu that people who are like such devotional service does not take place. Then in following verse he says, then what happens? How do they become devotees? Then he says that unless one smears the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who is without any contamination, and surrenders to such devotee, takes instruction from him, then it is possible. The only way one gets bhakti in them is through the mercy of a devotee. That's smearing the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. What does it mean? It means to taking shelter of such devotee. Spiritual master, taking shelter of him. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidi pranipatena paripashnena sevaya upadeshanti te jnaninam tat darshina. So, that's the way one can become. In our lives also, when we talk to devotees, that we want to find out how you came to Krishna consciousness. We all will say somehow or other that there was a devotee who connected them to Krishna consciousness. That's how it happens. Either direct contact with a devotee or through books which are written by a devotee, like in our case, Srila Prabhupada, a pure devotee of the Lord. So like that, everybody will have some connection. Without it, it's not possible to be engaged in pure devotional service. And actually it is said that, Sudama, that, Lord gave Sudama everything, big palace, all the riches, everything. So then why he sent him, when Sudama, finished his visit with Lord Krishna, when he was coming back, he walked all the way from Dwarka to his place, which was so far away, that why Lord Krishna did not give him some kind of help chariot or something for him to go back. So can somebody guess? Yes.
He wanted it to be a surprise.
That's a good guess. Anyone else? Yes, Samantha Prabhu.
So, Sudamaji was thinking that, I have not asked anything, but he could have given. But he has not given to me.
जय श्री श्री राधा नील माधव की जय, राधा गिरिधारी की जय, गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय, निताय गौर चंद्र निताय चैतन्य चंद्र की जय.
So he was thinking that I have not asked, but he could have given, but he has not given. So he was saying, see, Lord is so kind that because he knew that as soon as he start giving me opulences, I will start forgetting him. And forgetting him is my loss. So that's the Lord has not given me any opulences. So that I will not forget him and keep attached myself to the lotus feet.
Yes, yeah. Ultimately, yeah, that was. But here, actually, in the Bhurijan Prabhu's book called Backward Glance, which is like summary of 11th and 12th canto. So there he says that it's because it is said Lord Krishna wanted to purify the world by that, when Sudama is walking, he's purifying the material world, because, here, that's what Lord is saying. He wants to purify the material world with the dust of the lotus feet of his pure devotee. So that's why he let Sudama walk all the way so the material world can be purified where he's walking. And that point here, very beautiful, I thought, is Lord Krishna is here. Who is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is saying that actually Lord, walks. Is it Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? I read somewhere. Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya says that Lord Krishna follows the footsteps of devotees in order to purify them. So they become purified, and then in turn they purify us, those souls, And yeah, so when we take shelter of such souls, we also become devotees because devotee carries Krishna in their heart. Well, we all carry Krishna in our hearts, as a Paramatma. Krishna is with everybody, whether you are a devotee or not. But pure devotee is carrying him because he has realized the Lord. So and he's always praying he's always with Lord because he's always praying for the Lord, to the Lord for our well-being actually. So when we take shelter of such a devotee, then how do we become devotee? It's of course by his blessings, but also he prays for us to the paramparas. So by paramparas, mercy comes down to us, and then we get some spiritual benefit like that. So the Lord always makes things come true if a devotee asks. Directly it's very hard for a common man to please the Lord, but through his devotees we can do that. So that's what the essence of this verse is. Other point here is in the translation is saying the purify the material worlds which are situated within me. So we know that the material worlds are situated in Krishna in many places throughout Bhagavatam, and even Mahabharata. In Bhagavad Gita we see that Krishna manifests that form where we know for sure that yes, all the creation is existing within the Lord. And then maybe some of you can tell me where and how, describe where Lord Krishna manifests his universal forms to let us know that everything is in him. Anyone? Volunteers?
Like she said, the famous one is the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe you can, then other people can hear. Yes. Yeah, that's good. And assembly of gurus, when he came as a messenger of Pandavas. True. And then in Krishna Leela, right? Yeah. Right, that, once Balaram and the cowherd boys, they run to Mother Yashoda, that Yashoda, Mata, that your son Krishna is eating dirt, he's eating mud. So when Yashoda Maya, she calls Krishna and asks him that, are you eating dirt? And he denies, he said, no, I haven't eaten dirt. Then Mother Yashoda asks him to open his mouth. And then he opens his mouth, she sees the whole Brahmand, the whole creation, the whole universe within his mouth. And she becomes shocked and almost faints. Then one more time it is said that when Mother Yashoda was trying to put Krishna to sleep on her lap, and Krishna yawned, and then again she saw everything existing within Krishna. So, that's what it is saying here. We know that what he's saying here. That this, through our scriptures, we know that is true. Any other point? We have few minutes. If anybody has any question or comment. Otherwise, I was thinking we all can chant this Vaishnava bhajan. It's by Narottam Das Thakur. There is one bhajan, of course, everybody knows. Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu. Something like that, right? I forgot. That the dust of the pure devotees' lotus feet. Renu. Bhakati Anukula. It's like 6, I think it's. But the other verse, the other one is even each. It says, Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Premalati Karamula. The dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees gives rise to devotional service, and service to the devotees is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. That's that one. And then there is another one which we all can sing together, actually. Maybe here. It's by Narottam Das Thakur. And as you know, all the bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur are so sweet. Vaishnava, something Vaishnava. Yeah. Which page is that? Yeah. Oh, this one, I think, 108. No, I don't think that's the one. I should have remembered. Oh, yeah, it is. So if, other people can also take the books. It's on page 108. Yeah, you can also pull up on the. It's called Prayer to the Vaishnava. Vaishnava Vigyapati. Vaishnave. It says Vaishnave. Vigyapati. Vijnapti. You can just write E Baro Karuna Koro. Yeah, very famous. So E Baro Karuna Koro. Really? Oh, okay, I didn't know. So I'll chant one time and then you chant one. Follow me. E Baro Karuna Koro Vaishnava Gosai. Baro Karuna Koro Vaishnava Gosai. Patita Pavana Tomar Vine ke honai. Patita Pavana Tomar Vine ke honai. The translation O Vaishnava Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Number 2. Yahara nikate gele papa dure jai. Emo, go ahead. Yahara nikate gele papa dure jai. Emona dayala prabhu ke bakotha pai. Emona dayala prabhu ke bakotha pai. Then Samant Prabhu, you can read the translation.
Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away?
Yes. Gangara parasha hoile paschate pavana. Gangara parasha hoile paschate pavana. Dashana pavitra koro e tomara guna. Dashana pavitra koro e tomara guna. Okay, Nandasuna Prabhu, would you like to read this one? Yeah. Oh, it's not working? Okay.
One becomes purified after bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times, but just the sight of you purifies the fallen souls. This is your great power.
Very nice. 4. Haristhane aparadhe tara hari nama. Haristhane aparadhe tara hari nama. Toma sthane aparadhe nahi paritrana. Toma sthane aparadhe nahi paritrana. The holy name delivers one who has offended Lord Hari, but deliverance is impossible if one offends you. So that's a very important point. So of course, he's very merciful. He gives you bhakti. He gives you everything in his spiritual life. But offending him, ruins everything. Nothing can be. Then nobody can actually save you, but the Vaishnava himself, if he forgives you. So the last one, Pratijanme ko, huh? Oh, that's it? 5?
Second last. There's a fifth one.
Tomara, oh, okay. Tomara hirdoye sada Govinda Vishrama. Govinda kohe namora Vaishnava parana. Daye sada Govinda Vishram. Govinda kohe namora Vaishnava parana. Patita Pawan Prabhu, would you like to read? Do you have that? Okay, Samant Prabhu can read this one.
Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart.
Right. So he said, your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda, and Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are my heart. That's what Govinda is saying in our verse of the day, actually. The last one, Prati janme kori asha Charanera dhuli Narottama koro daya Apnara boli Asha Charanera dhuli Narottame koro daya Apnara boli. I desire to have the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam yours and be kind upon him. So the exalted devotee such as Narottam Das Thakur is praying for this. So, what to speak of us. So our only hope is to be connected with such a Vaishnava who imbibes all these qualities. And also in one place in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, I think it's when Durvasa Muni comes to the Lord for help, as the Sudarshan Chakra is chasing Durvasa Muni after he offends Amrish Maharaj. So at that point, Lord says that, I am, he says, am bhakta paradhina, that I am not independent. I am actually controlled by my devotees. I am under their control, so I cannot really help you. So at that point, also in that sloka, I think it says that Lord is not only pleased with such exalted devotees as Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, but when one becomes dear to such devotees, then also Lord is pleased with those devotees of the devotees, So that's what our practice is, das anudas, right? So that is the way to please the Lord, right? And then what does Lord says? It says in this verse that he follows such devotees. So, all right, I'll end here unless someone else has some point they would like to express, give their input or realization. We have 2 minutes. Yes. Oh, okay. All right, I'll try. Ebaro karuna koro Vaishnava Gosai Patita pavana toma bine kohe nai Yaharani. Translation also? Okay. Yaharani kate gele papa dure jai emona dayala prabhu ke bakotha pai gangara parasha hoile paschate pavana Darshana pavitra koro eto maraguna Hari sthane aparadhe tare hari naam Toma sthane aparadhe nahi paritran श्री राधा नीलमाधव की जय, राधा गिरिधारी की जय, गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय, निताय गौरचंद्र निताय चैतन्य चंद्र की जय. Okay, 2 more. तुम्हारा हृदय सदा गोविंदा विश्राम गोविंदा कोहे ना मोरा वैष्णवा परान प्रतिजान में कोरी आशा चरणेरा धूली नरोत्तम कोरो दया पनारा बोली. श्री नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. Thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna.